Hey guys, Dom here, back with another video on Legends, and this time we're going to be talking about the Isle of Madness expansion, which should be coming to Legends in about a month's time, hopefully. But in the last 24 hours, we have been dropped a trailer for this expansion, and I thought today I'll just go over it, analyse what's in it, and kind of take out bit by bit, because there is a lot in here, and there's definitely a lot that I've missed, and some stuff that I've seen and I don't really know, so I think it's best if I don't explain it. And if any of you lot notice something or have noticed something that I've missed, or you think anything I've said is wrong, because obviously partially what I'm going to say is going to just be based off speculation of my initial thoughts, please put it down in the comments. I want to know what you guys are thinking about this. I'm really interested, but anyway, without further ado, let's get into this trailer. Now, the first thing we see in the trailer is this dark elf male, who, he looks quite normal, and from looking at the kind of plants in the background, it does look like he's in Morrowind. Therefore, we could assume that the portal to the Shivering Isles might have actually opened in Morrowind instead of opening near Bravil, where it does in Oblivion. There's not really much else to say about him. He's probably going to be the character that you spend kind of talking to in the actual campaign. They might make a card for him that you can get, I'm not too sure. I'm kind of viewing him like Alice Lean, or whatever her name was, from the Dark Brotherhood quest, that I've probably butchered her name, and her father, and all the other kind of NPC characters, as he does speak about trying to get back his son, I believe, in the trailer. But other than that, I can't really see him being an actual card that we get in the collection. I mean, there is a chance, but I don't think we will. Now, while the Dunmer, who I'm assuming is the main character, is giving his little speech at the start about risking his sanity and whatnot, you see this flash of an image of a Khajiit running away from several ghosts. Now, I have two theories on what these ghosts can be. One of which is that these are the ghosts from the Hills of Suicides, which, if you don't know, these are basically just people who have killed themselves in the Isles. Because if you commit suicide in the Shivering Isles, you get sent to the Hill of Suicides, which is in Dementia, but is in the middle of the actual island itself. And yeah, you're basically just cursed to live there for the rest of time. And my other theory to what these ghosts could be are the ghosts of Vifan, which were a bunch of people who all got brutally murdered by a group called the Fanatics, when several of them kind of didn't do their duty to protect their town from being completely slaughtered. This card really confused me at first, because he is wearing the Forsworn armour, which are Bretons who live in the Reach, and they believe that the Reach belongs to them, as they shout excessively in Skyrim. But after looking at this picture for quite a while, and by quite a while I mean about 5 minutes, I noticed that in his right hand he's holding a potion with a green substance in. Now, there are only two sorts of substances in the Shivering Isles that I can think of which are green, which you're likely to have in a bottle like that. And these two are Feldew and Green Moat. Green Moat is something that makes food taste absolutely delicious, but in large samples can make you overdose and die, which is quite unfortunate. And Feldew is a highly addictive, I would say, I'm going to go substance, because I'm not too sure what it counts as, which is incredibly addictive and makes you have this euphoric feeling while it's in your systems, but once it's kind of got out, you have this terrible withdrawal symptoms and you need to have more of it, and you kind of adapt to that drug. It's kind of like heroin, but in Elder Scrolls, really. And the reason why I think Feldew is much more of a likely one here is because the actual area behind him kind of resembles where you find the Chalice of Reversal in Oblivion, which is also where all the Feldew addicts were hiding. And the Chalice of Reversal pretty much just cures people of Feldew, really, or the addiction from it. That's all I kind of remember from Oblivion exactly. And I mean, that card could also end up being in the Isle of Madness as like a support or something, but that's just going off the rails of speculation. I didn't plan to talk about this, because this is actually a card back that you can get if you pre-order, or I'm assuming when the Isle of Madness actually comes out, purchase to get for your cards. But the thing that actually kind of interested me about this is if you look at the upside down cher Gorath, in his hand is an eye. Now, I'm going to assume that this is Sirta's eye, which is actually part of cher Gorath's staff, which is, I believe, an item that is held by the apostles, and that does mean that those cards could also be later involved in the set. This point is very much speculation. Now, as the trailer's kind of about 20, maybe 30 seconds in, it will do like a flash of locations, and I kind of paused it here because I thought in the direct center that the shrine thing looks a bit like the wellspring, which is what resurrects the golden saints and dark seducers, and could be an interesting support which they add. This character really annoys me here because looking at the necklace area, not her necklace but around that area, you can see a kind of symbol of what would obviously represent some sort of faction. Now, I don't know what this is from, and it does look incredibly familiar, so if anyone knows, please just put in the comments. It's really been annoying me, and I mean, other than that, I could just assume it's a heretic or a cultist. Okay, so the next part we see is cher Gorath standing there, kind of giggling along as everything is to flames, burning, or just not in a nice state. Now, originally I thought this could be a later stage of the Grey March, as at first there's all the Shards of Order that appear, Knights of Order, they just kind of destroy the place, and as cher Gorath does say that he does need to rebuild his realm every time he returns from being Jegelag. But then obviously, if this was a late part of the Grey March, he wouldn't be there. Unless this is him post-Grey March having to kind of rebuild from what's left. And obviously, as he's the Daedric Prince of Madness, he's having a good old giggle towards it. From looking at the staff, which our Dunmer character is holding, we can tell from knowledge, and maybe to those who have recently got all the Creation Club items in Skyrim, that this item is most likely to be the Staff of Hazadoki. And this staff was, well, in Morrowind at least, it granted the user significant magical resistance for a certain amount of time. Now, I don't know what it does in Skyrim, because I haven't been bothered to buy anything from the Creation Club, as that's my money. I'm going to keep it for myself, thank you. But this could be an item card, maybe, which is kind of blocking off actions from targeting the card, or something like that. I don't know, it could just be one of the pictures in the actual campaign story. I'm just speculating here to make the video sound more interesting. And obviously we need to hit that sweet 10-minute mark so I can add extra ads. Only joking, I don't add ads to my videos, that's just too much effort. And I'm sure you guys do hopefully respect that I don't waste 5 seconds or more if it's a dodgy advert just watching something you don't care about. But yeah, other than that, there isn't much to see here. This leads us on to the glamorous and final reveal, which are 7 cards, which are almost undoubtedly going to be cards which you can collect in the expansion. Now, I feel like right now I'm just going to talk over what I think they might be and do some speculation, but obviously this is just me having a little bit of a guess, so if you guys have your own little guesses or ideas for cards, please put them down in the comments. I love reading them. And in fact, we'll actually just start with, in the background, cher Gorath's eyes, his reptilian eyes, how one is blue and one is gold. Now, for you who might not know, these are likely to reflect dementia and mania, as mania and bliss, the manic area of the Shivering Isles, was always represented with kind of gold, glamorous, crazy colours, while dementia and crucible, they had kind of upsetting, dreary colours, and that kind of links to the blue kind of vibe that you get there, as blue I'm pretty sure is the colour of sadness. But yeah, other than that, let's get into these cards. So the first one looks to be some character very afraid on the floor. I don't really know what this could do. It could be some sort of intimidate card, not like the one actually in the game already. I'm not trying to just rehash cards again. Did that in my last actual Legends video, but who knows. I don't think this is going to be a unit, unless it's one of those ones that you transform a card into. It doesn't seem like something you'd want as an offense. Now, the next card are the Gates of Madness, and I know this just because of the glow giving off by them and the area being where the gatekeeper usually stood on patrol. The golden glow reflects mania, and the blue glow reflects dementia. This will probably be one of those cards similar to Barbus, where you get to choose one of two effects. That, or it's got kind of RNG between choosing two effects, I'd assume. It's almost undoubtedly going to be a support, because I don't know how some gates to the rest of the land could ever be a character. I take that back, actually. I just remembered Portcullis as a card. Ignore me. But I don't see it being an item. And it could be an action, I suppose, but I feel like support is where it works best. Now, the third card along, this is that same woman, I believe, from earlier, but instead of shooting out purple lightning from her hands, it's blue. This card, yeah, I've said what I've said about this, really. I'm not too sure. It could be a heretic, but then I also think that the middle card here looks a bit like a heretic, and what I'd assume it to be summoning would be a hunger, which are cards that are actually already in the game. They are willpower cards, and you do actually start with one which gets upgraded as you level up, so that's kind of a nice card that it links to. So I'm going to assume the middle card is just a heretic which summons a hunger, but it'll probably be one of the ones which doesn't gain drain if your opponent controls a monster in the lane, or whatever the actual effect is. Now, the one on the right of that, with the guy holding his head and lots of faces coming out, I believe you do see a shot of this earlier in the trailer, and it does look like our Dark Elf main character person. But I can't really tell what this would do. I mean, my guess would be that this is kind of like a silence effect, and it also removes all copies of it from your deck and sends them to the graveyard, just by the actual kind of faces ripping off. But I don't know what it could actually represent in the Shivering Isles. It's another thing which has just flown over my head. Now, the Flesh Atronach card to the right of that, I'm assuming is going to be what the Gatekeeper is going to be. I mean, it could just be a regular Flesh Atronach, but I feel like that's just a bit too boring for what that card could be. So I believe that could be our Gatekeeper, as well as actually how the right hand looks like some sort of blade, and regular Flesh Atronachs had both their hands. And yeah, he could be quite a strong, tanky kind of unit on the field, just to scare people. And obviously he was the guard of the Gates of Madness. On to the final card that we have to look at. It's a Scamp, juggling fireballs. Now this is highly adorable, and to the humour of all of the Shivering Isles, as it is the land of madness, you get crazy funny stuff. And I don't really know what he'd do, but I'm hoping he's a neutral card just so I can add him to all of my decks, because he is actually quite cute. But yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about these cards, which will bring us nicely onto the end of this video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Any kind of card speculation I love to hear about. Like, it always interests me what other people think would be cool in the game. But yeah, other than that, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.